name's Charlie Pio. I'm an anthropologist, cultural anthropologist. I work in West Africa, in a French-speaking country, Togo. And when I first began doing my dissertation research, I followed the protocols as I was told to of getting research permission. I began first at the state level, so in the capital of Lomé. I went to the Ministry of Scientific Research, gave them a copy of my grant proposal, and they told me to come back in a few weeks. After getting research permission in the capital from the ministry, you follow the chain of command down the hierarchy. So I went then into the interior and requested permission from the préfet, the district governor. Again, presenting in my papers and crucially presenting the stamped and signed paper from the ministry in Lomé. That was an easy step. Once he saw the stamp from the ministry, he gave me a research approval right away. I then followed the chiefship system, the chain of command, through the chiefships from the highest ranking to the lowest ranking. So I went to the canton chief with my papers, easy approval. Then to the village chief in the village cluster that I was intending to work in, easy approval there as well, because those higher up had given their assent. And then finally to the ward chief, the small village in which I lived for 2 years, and he also gave his approval. So I had approval from everyone in the chain of command. I lived in the village for about 3 or 4 months working on language, beginning my research, but just sort of observing, not really doing interviews with people. And then once I was settled and thought I understood the lay of the land, I designed a questionnaire, a household census or survey. And I wanted to go household to household to find out kinship connections, marriage histories, wealth within the household, the number of fields people owned, and so on. A sort of standard anthropological survey. And after generating the questions, I decided to try it out on my language teacher's father, who was an old man at the time. So I sat down with him one afternoon and went through all the questions just to see if they were the appropriate questions or not. It was a really useful exercise. This is what anthropologists are supposed to do. You try your stuff out first and then you tinker with it. And however, that evening a friend came to visit me and asked what I was doing that afternoon, whether I wasn't interviewing people. And I said yes, and he said, did you get permission from the ward chief to do that? I said, well, I had all of these permissions in the beginning, but no, I didn't ask him if I could start interviewing. And he said, well, that's a completely different kettle of fish. You need to go back and get permission. And so you should go tomorrow, tell the chief that you made a mistake, and you should have come and sought his permission ahead of time. I did that the next day. The chief was very nice, very gracious, and said, no problem, but I will have to get permission from the next in command, from the village chief. And so just bide your time, and I'll get back to you. A month went by, I still didn't have permission. I was just sort of stewing in my juices the whole time, you can imagine. Antsy to get going with my research. Finally, approval came from the village chief, but he of course said he had to go to the canton chief. That took another month. The canton chief said he had to go to the préfet. That took time as well. So I sat there for several months just waiting for all of these protocols to be realized. And of course I was being taught a lesson in local etiquette, local protocol, and local power relations. I think the lesson of this story is that protocols are always local as well as larger. So the IRB protocol is important and gets us to think the important first steps of getting research permission. but then there are also local protocols, and that's what I wasn't tapping into, and that's why my research was put on hold for several months. So the lesson for others would be that to ask what local protocols are, to go in fact overboard in that direction. The second moral is that research is always carried out in a context of local culture and local power relations. And we as Americans tend to not give much credence or importance to that, but in fact they're very important locally. Relations with outsiders are always filtered through local hierarchies and local power relations. So it's to be mindful of those, to respect those, to engage in the protocols that locals would in accessing those. So those are, I think, the two big lessons that I learned from this.